Okay, so it's 6 p.m. Australian time, and let's start this webinar. So, thank you everyone. Welcome to our first webinar brought to you by Wolf Strategies and Evaluate, called Creating Dollar Efficiencies in Your Business Operations. So, who is it from, or who are the main persons behind this? So, this gentleman here, right, that's me. And depending on which country you're in, my name is pronounced differently. So if you're in India, my name is pronounced as Sarang. If you're around Southeast Asia, Singapore, Hong Kong, it's Sarang. And if you're in the UK, America, or Australia, it's Sarang. And I'm okay with any and all pronunciations. So a little bit of background about me. I am a chartered accountant. I have had the fortune of getting my academic education and work experience in London, in Singapore, and now in Australia. I'm currently based in Australia. I founded Wolf Strategies about 2.5 years ago, and our focus or our main target industry is the hospitality, food and beverage sector around the world. We have clients in Singapore, in Australia, and we have recently launched in the UK, and we have collaborated with two amazing companies there, Evaluate Corp, which Neetu is the founder, and LA Accounting. And we are rolling out our services to restaurants, cafes, and bars in the UK. So that's me. My name is Sarang, and I extend my warm welcome to everyone. I'm going to hand over the mic to Neetu so she can introduce herself. Neetu?
Hi everyone, good morning if you are in UK, good evening if you are in the other parts of the world. I'm Neeta Stephen, I'm the founder of Evaluate Corp. Right now, I'm joining you from our beautiful Bournemouth in UK. Right now we are in our 10 days of summer, so we are all feeling very positive about it. My company, Evaluate Corp, I founded Evaluate Corp in 2016. We specialize in management accounting and CFO analysis. And predominantly, we work with small and medium-sized companies. So basically, we ask all the difficult questions and our clients will find all the answers to the questions. It's a fantastic job to be in. Great audience today, and we really hope you have some takeaways. A few housekeeping matters before we start. You're all muted, as you can imagine. So if you have any questions, please type in your questions as they come up into your chat box. You should all be able to see a chat box. You can actually minimize the chat box as we go along. If you do not have any question, you can actually minimize it so you can see the screen better. You should all be able to see the screen as well. If there's any issues in seeing the screen or hearing us, just ping us in between. I'll be looking out for your questions or your suggestions in between. The session is being recorded, so we will spam you later with the content. Like Sarang mentioned, this is really the first time for us, so please forgive us any mistakes, give us feedback, and help us to improve. Great, so let's start the session. Over to you, Sarang.
Thank you, Neetu. And like Neetu mentioned, please do write in your questions as we speak. Let's make this webinar an interactive one. Let's keep talking, and as we go along, we'll be happy to answer your questions as well. If there are major questions, or if you feel that a question is something which is more, which is something that you would like for us to answer offline, then we'll be sharing our email addresses at the end of this webinar. So drop either myself or Neetu an email, and we can talk about this further offline. So why are we here, or what are we doing? So we've just gone through the introductions. I'll be talking about integrated automation and how that can help you create more efficiencies in your back office, helping you save dollars on the go. Neetu will take you through planning, and we'll obviously have a Q&A session at the end as well. And certainly, in terms of next step, we'll let you know what we are planning to do for you. Please do give us your feedback by email, and we would love to hear what you thought about this webinar and what topics would you like us to cover next time so we can bring you more relevant webinars like this. So let's begin. And for me, this image tells a billion words. Winston Wolfe, as some of you may know, is a central character in Pulp Fiction. And for those who did not recognize this person right away, I would urge you to go home tonight and watch Pulp Fiction. It's one of my favorite movies. And as I mentioned, Winston Wolfe was the inspiration behind my founding of Wolf Strategies. We've taken his positivities, his straightforward attitude, his confident thinking, problem solving skills, and we've put that into our model as we help restaurants, bars, and cafes across the globe succeed. So, what is the problem? Now, the problem is a set of issues that any organization, be it a small startup, a medium sized company, or a large sized company, will face in any industry. So, for example, if you're a startup, your immediate the problem would be raising capital from the right amount of investors, investors who share your vision and who support you through good and bad times. If you're a small or a medium sized business, your problem would be growing your sales, hiring the right amount of staff, or managing your back office. And as your company grows, you realize that you get pulled from 10 different directions. So that can start creating more problems for you as you go along. And if you're a large scale organization, the immediate the problem would be overseas expansion, pressures that you may face from governments to keep things local, hire local, produce local. At the same time, pressures that your shareholders, your stakeholders would put on you to grow your profits. So each and every organization, each and every company has the problem. Uh, as this session is about creating dollar efficiencies in your operations, we are going to focus on inefficient operations. So the major cause of these are minimal or no automation. So automations where basically the company hasn't gone through fully automating the back office, as well as lack of business planning. And when you have inefficient operations, you will feel going around in circles with no easy way out. So you'll feel that you're stuck in the same circle on and on each day, every day. Let me give you an example. At the beginning of this year, I was working with a client of mine, and we were reviewing his back office policies, his policies for 2016. What worked for him, what didn't work for him. One of the policy was, and this is a restaurant outlet. So one of the policies they had at that time was they were issuing out staff reimbursement from petty cash. The problem that me and my team faced as their finance and advisors, as their accountants, as their bookkeepers, was that the expenses or the cash going out didn't have a corresponding supporting document. So we always had a difference in what our data was and what the actual cash on hand at the outlet was. So while reviewing that at the beginning of this year, I proposed that we need to automate the petty cash. So the way we decided to do it was for me to basically take charge of their bank account, become their cloud CFO, and start issuing reimbursements to staff via bank transfer. And the only way I was going to do that was if I had a supporting document in my hand sent to me by the staff online against which I can make that transfer. So that helped solve a lot of issues, a lot of roadblocks we had in 2016. And that created efficiencies for the organizations. They were able to have a proper set of records, a proper set of petty cash at their outlet, but at the same time, a lot of their outgoings, cash outflow was done online. So we had a full, proper set of data on hand against which we could match our outgoings and incomings. So as you move forward, you have to look into the power of technology, the power of cloud, as we say. And I'm going to explain now in terms of the four main functions that an organization has: the purchase functions, the sales, payroll, and overall reporting. Let's start with the purchases. Be You might be an organization in any industry. You might be a small company in real estate. You might be a small company in IT. You might be a company in the retail or even the hospitality sector. When it comes to purchases, the good old days of keeping those pesky receipts, those bills, are numbered. Or in fact, I can confidently say that those days are gone, because nowadays you have online cloud-based apps. One of the apps that we trial and personally is my favorite is Data Molino. Data Molino is an online cloud-based application where you just have to scan all your bills and your receipt. And as you can see from this slide here, they'll get your information on automatically. Their brilliant software scans that information perfectly with your supplier name, all your details given here, including your taxation. And if you have your ledger account set, nowadays it can automatically send that to your accounting software as well. So imagine the amount of time that you're saving using a cloud software like Data Molino for your purchases. All you do is scan everything using either your scanner or your mobile phone on the go, and it does the rest. That's tons of time saved, time which you can then use towards driving your sales, looking at your marketing, and really focusing on areas that will give you more and more dollars each day, every day. Let's look at the sales function now. Again, depending on the industry you're in. Now, this slide is specifically for the people or the businesses who are in the hospitality or retail industry. For these industries especially, there's a huge jump in the sales function. There's a huge development. You've got apps such as Lightspeed, Revel that can track your sales real time. What's been ordered, what's been delivered. It can track your inventory. It can give you product classification, so which products in your restaurant or in your retail outlet were more popular, how much was sold, what's left in your inventory, when do you need to order. You've got that level of detail now in your hand. If you're a business, as I mentioned, in the in the real estate or IT industry, you've got your accounting softwares like Xero, QuickBooks Online, MYOB to help you start selling on the go. All you need is your mobile phone, a great connection, and you can start issuing your sales invoices right from your mobile. I'm sure a few of you might be using Xero or related accounting software, and I'm sure a lot of you might be already issuing out invoices on the go from your mobile, from your iPad. If you're not, drop me or Neetu an email, and we'll be able to. I'm more than happy to give you a demo on how it works. Let's move on to payroll. Payroll, again, if you look at the good old days, payroll was a function where you had amounts and massive amounts of spreadsheets, where you had to go through manual calculations of spreadsheet created formulas to determine your employees' taxation, their relevant deductions, create their pay slips out of Word. That was how the good old days were. Now, payroll is managed with a click of few buttons. If you're a company based in Southeast Asia, our preferred partners are Talanox. We work with Talanox ongoingly for them to create amazing, beautiful pay slips, for them to calculate all your staff's relevant deductions, their provident fund, their national insurance contributions, their superannuation contributions are done automatically from Talanox. Over here, I've got a snapshot from Xero as well. And this is where I'm amazed with the power of cloud technology, and especially Xero. Xero in Australia and the UK is amazingly and superbly robust. And I can say this with full confidence, especially in Australia. They've got connections all the way directly with the tax office, with your superannuation companies. So with a click of a few buttons, you've got your employee data sent directly to these companies, and you don't need to do any more manual work. So think of the amount and the hours of work that you've saved having these cloud apps with you to manage your payroll accurately, properly, each month and every month. Okay, and bringing all of this down, and just to give you an idea, we are Silver Xero partners, and we work with Xero constantly to bring you more and more efficient ways for you to manage your books, your accounts online. Bringing all of this together, again, as I keep mentioning Xero all the time, is integrated reporting, and that's where your accounting system comes in place. I've mentioned Xero quite a bit of times over this webinar, and that's because Xero, for me personally, is my preferred accounting software to go. Their API, their setup, and the way the software is managed online is amazing. It's extremely robust. Depending on any country you're in, be it Australia, Singapore, UK, or any other country, as long as you have got a good internet connection, you can manage Xero from your laptop, from your iPad, and even from your mobile. You can issue your sales invoices, you can create your purchase bills, and you can have all of that data real time with you every time. And with Xero, given its app integrations, connected to about 500 apps, right from our good old Microsoft to some of the POS or sales apps that I showed you before, right to purchase apps, even to Amazon. That's how in-depth Xero has gone. And on year, every year, they keep making more and more changes. In fact, recently I went to one of the Xero conference, the Xero Roadshow, and they were talking about doing more in-depth automation in terms of basically creating more links with your tax office. In fact, Xero, I believe they are even building automated accounting systems. So that's where you'll have the software doing all your accounting for you. And then you can work with your accountant or your advisor for higher level advisory, budgeting, forecasting stuff. Okay, so that's my part. And I'm going to hand over this part to Neetu now, and she's going to talk about planning. So bear with us for a second while Neetu switches the screens over from mine to her. Neetu, over to you.
I've just unmuted myself. Are you able to see my screen now? I think we will just. Sorry, bear with us for a second when we change the screen over.
Not yet. Let me just make you a presenter, Neetu, so I can show. Done that.
Okay, so you should be able to see my screen now.
Yes.
So before we start, do we have any questions for the part that Sarang was just talking about? We'll wait for a few seconds to get any questions from any of you. I think we don't see any questions coming in. So, right, we'll just start off with my part of the webinar. So I'll be talking to you today about planning. So thanks, Sarang, for that insightful session. It was really good, and I'm really hoping that all of you had some takeaways from there. And hopefully all of you are awake and have some more patience left in you to get through the rest of the webinar. So that was the whole idea of me putting that yellow quote bang onto a blue background on there. The quote is great for businesses too. I feel it's from Creed, which is the latest of the Rocky Balboa series. I love that series, so positive. So like I said, this quote I feel is great for businesses as well. It's like we have all of these business challenges that we face, and we get through these whole days of business hustle. It's kind of the favorite startup word nowadays, and we kind of hope that it all falls in place and it all works. But I'm very sure that all of you are better than that. And probably that is one of the biggest reasons why you have taken time out and joined us today. So we'll go right into our topic today, which is planning. I know a lot of us actually do not like to do a lot of planning, but unfortunately, without this one aspect, we're all ill-equipped to go out into the big bad world. Businesses today, we compete on efficiency. There is a great product and a service where it all starts from, but as we all know, for sustained long-term growth, planning is primary. And there is no way any of us will build dollar efficiencies in our businesses without good planning. So I predominantly work with small to medium-sized companies. A lot of them are funded, and a lot of them, most of them, in fact, are growing at quite competitive rates. It's really good for them. It's really great for me to see that as well. But I'm also amazed by the lack of business planning that is there in these companies. Sometimes by the time I step in to take up their CFO role or the outsourced FT role, they would be like halfway through pursuing a course of action that does not make a lot of commercial sense. The numbers just wouldn't be adding up. And we've all heard of this fundamental life lesson, look before you leap. But then sometimes we forget that in business, I feel. So let's just get into more of the technicalities here. So technically, we talk of budgets and forecasts when we talk about business planning. Budgets are your long-term plan, what you would really like to achieve from your business, and forecasts are what you are really going to achieve. So we don't really have a lot of time to talk in depth about these two topics, but we will go through some of the basics. And for good budgets or forecasts to be prepared and adhered to, there are absolutely some must-haves. So budgets, like we said, is a long-term plan. Forecasts are short-term. That will always be adjusted to business realities. So first off, we start with planning. What do you really want to make from the business? What is your end goal? And that's just not a question about how much money you want to make. It's about what is your product or service all about. How does it become valuable to someone? And consequently, how do we build a viable business around it? Once we have an understanding of this, plugging the numbers down, it's relatively easier. So the exercise that we're talking about, it's really all about knowing your product or your service inside out. And I'm using the word product for both product and service here because some of us would have products, some of us would have services. So it's really about understanding your service or your product in depth and trying to see how are we solving issues for customers and then building businesses around that, right? And next comes the most important part, implementation. So you've planned how you want to run your business, what is your product all about, what is your service all about. Now comes the implementation part. And this basically addresses the gap between what you have promised a customer and how you achieve that end result internally. So unless your operations are seamless, and I really wouldn't say perfect, but seamless, we will leak efficiencies at each step of the process. So there is a time when we actually tell the customer, okay, this is what you're going to get. And there is the time when we actually start creating that service or product internally and delivering it to the customer. So unless we have integrated operations, we will be leaking efficiencies in between. And when we leak efficiencies, we end up losing money. Sometimes it's not very visible, it will be internal, but we will still be leaking dollar efficiencies, right? So lay down your value chain and you have to plan each aspect of it with as much granularity as possible, right? So that is the implementation phase. And then it also has to be in line with what you define as a goal for your business. So I had this instance last month, right? When I met with a potential client, they have a fantastic growing business here. They have a great office. Everything is hunky-dory. They even have a beautiful set of Excel reports explaining all of their sales targets, the costing analysis, and everything that you can imagine financially. But for months, they are consistently dreading their payday. And when I went in for this meeting, their question to me was, what's going wrong? Why is there no money? So I said to them, the issue here, and I really could feel that when I was walking into the meeting, when I sat, I really could feel that that is what was happening. So I asked them, the issue here doesn't seem to be the lack of planning. Actually, probably you are even planning too much. But the guys who are supposed to put the plan into motion, they were all creatives. And there was absolutely no buy-in from them to put that plan into action. So there is no way we will ever implement a perfect plan if the people in the business are not convinced of its effectiveness. So, and it reminds me that one of the investors that I've met here in Bournemouth, he always calls this painting a useless shed. So the analogy goes more like when the shed you've built is not really going to be used, how does it matter what color it is? So similarly, if you can't implement a plan, it really won't matter how perfect it is. So all of that implementation, I give a lot of focus on implementation because that is where most businesses fail, right? And now we go to the third part, which is all about reviewing what you've done so far. So there are fantastic companies I work with who are really good with one, which is the planning part and the implementation part. They struggle when we come to the third part, the reassessment part. We have to reassess as frequently as we can. And I suggest every month, go through the forecast, ask the hard questions. Has the market changed? Has our immediate vision changed? And whatever else that's crucial to our business, we have to keep asking, we have to ask these questions to ourselves as often as we can. So that is where some business intelligence tool can help to a huge extent. I use Spotlight reporting for a lot of my clients. It's a fantastic business intelligence tool. I really love using it. As you can see on the screen now, it's very visual. So a lot of my clients love to use it. It integrates beautifully with Zero. I'm a 100% Zero user. All my clients are on Zero. So it's easy for me to pull the data out from Zero onto Spotlight. And it creates charts around key business metrics that we would have identified. You can even plug in non-financial items there, like how well is your website working? Do you have even we can even plug in Google Analytics and things like that. So this helps on a monthly basis. If you run analysis on this, it helps a lot in understanding how well we have performed and how we are expected to perform during the next couple of months. So we will get to know what are the issues that are coming up vis-a-vis our initial plans. So Zero has its own budget manager, and it's a great tool to start with. I put a lot of my clients who start with budgeting and forecast onto the Zero budget manager itself. And it helps a lot because if you're already on Zero, then we really get all the actuals in one place, and we are also planning our numbers in the same place. So running a variance analysis and understanding the differences between budgets and actuals becomes a lot more easier. It's all on the same platform. So it's easier to access, and consequently, it is also easy to reassess. So we are just about done here. There's a little bit more to go. So we'll jump to the next session. So I want to leave you with some top line thoughts for today. I've collated some quick last minute items here. So it's important, like we were mentioning, it's important to not overdo planning. So we really need to identify 3 to 5 key business factors. And this is what we call metrics when we put down numbers on them. Could be sales, employees, customers, like Sarang was showing earlier. They really are the main pillar stones of any business. So let's say you choose these broad areas, and within these areas, you'd have a number of things you'd want to gauge. For example, if it's sales, how many new customers do we have? Do we have repeat customers? And things like that. And the important thing here is business metrics should always be built around what you want measured. So it's very important for us to understand what are the key drivers of our business. Assumptions will always be involved, and we create forecast models, especially when you have just started. We'll always have a lot more assumptions than for an ongoing business. So the key here is to create numbers out of them so that we can all relate to a common goal. The second one there is also very important. You have to involve the right people. This is very important, and as we all know, for the right reasons. We mentioned this before as well. You need buy-in from the people that matter. Bring them in, and you have to take them along with this on your journey. This is what I call tightening your circle. You have to choose the people you're going to do this with. And that's the only way we'll be able to implement good plans and keep implementing and reassessing them consistently. Sometimes, as we know, there are too many people in the room. And just like in any other meeting, in budget or planning meetings, that is counterproductive. And obviously, I wouldn't advise it, nor would anyone else, I believe. The last one there, we already spoke about this a little bit as well. Don't shy away from reevaluating your position, your numbers, and your business. You have to have more whys in your business. Not that we should spend endless days and hours doing this, but we have to dedicate time to doing this on a consistent basis. So I leave you with this. This is the last of my thoughts for you today. One of my best clients, they used to dread payday when we started. I've been working with them for almost a year now. And we went really slow at the beginning. It was one step, one punch, one round, really literally at the time. And we consistently asked questions. How are we doing things? Why are we doing that? Why are we doing this? Now, almost 1 year later, we are down on our debtor days. Like, we collect cash a lot better. So our debtor days have been slashed by 50%. Our revenues are up by 30%, and we are able to constantly hit net profit lane, like bottom lines of 20%. And more important than any of those numbers, I feel it's really a happy business. So it feels great to be part of businesses like that. Then it feels good that we have done something that is so tangible to see. Right. So thank you so much for your patient hearing today. that's just about it from my session. So we leave the floor open now for questions. I will hand it over back to Sarang for a short time so that he can help to channel any questions we are getting right now.
Thank you for this, Neetu. You presented this beautifully. Excellent work. As Neetu mentioned, we'll keep this line open for a few minutes for questions. In the meantime, I'd like to talk about the next steps as we showed at the beginning of our agenda. So, what's next? What should you be doing? If you are a small business owner, the first thing that I would urge you to do is look at your current processes and policies in place. What has worked for you over the last quarter or even over the last year? What has worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? Or was there particular policies that really dragged your time, really sort of created roadblocks for you? It's time for you to look at that policy in more details and think of ways to make it efficient, to remove that policy, put a new process in place which can really drive your business, help you save time, and drive your business growth to new heights. If your advisors or if your accountants listening in onto this webinar, this would be a perfect opportunity for you to talk with your clients and saying, how are they doing? What's where their business is right now? What's causing them to spend majority of the time? Which activity in their business are they spending their time on? Is that time necessary? Is there any activity in their business that they would prefer to spend more time on? And as you get these questions flowing across to your clients, I'm sure they'll be more than happy to talk to you. That will give you an understanding on where you can help them find efficiencies. And certainly, I would urge you to start looking at the cloud technology. No matter what industry you're in, there'll be apps online for you to utilize, help you save time so you can focus your energy on driving your sales and growth. If you would like, you can drop myself or Neetu questions. And Neetu, if you can just switch over to the next slide, we'll have the email addresses for both me and there you go. So we have got the email addresses for both me and Neetu there. So drop us a note if you would like our help as well to look into an app which is more favorable or something which helps you make your business efficient. And as I speak, I have a question here. So I have a question. Is it possible to integrate Xero with my point of sale system? Yes. So Xero integrates with numerous point of sale systems. I have shown examples of two, which was Lightspeed and Revel. There is Vend, there is Counter. So there are numerous point of sale systems out there, and these are systems which are specific to your country that you're in, or even to the industry you're in. And I'm sure Xero would be or is definitely integrating with most of them. If not, certainly myself and Neetu can help you find a system that is something which is matching with your expectations at the same time integrating with Xero. Or if you're using another accounting software like QuickBooks or MYOB, we can help you with that as well. So thank you to Martin for that question. Are there any more questions? We'll just give everyone about 2 minutes for the questions. So we have a question here. Has Xero got an option for payroll processing or do I need to upgrade it? So depending on the country you're in, and Aneta, I know you well, so you're in Australia. Yes, Xero does have an option for payroll processing, and it depends on the plan you're in. So it starts with, in Australia, I believe it starts with one employee plan, and you can upgrade it to 5 employees and more than 5 employees. So certainly you have to look at the plan you're in, and I can definitely help you look at that afterwards offline. And once, if you want to start sort of processing payroll for yourself or for any employees that you are looking to take on board, certainly the key here would be to establish or create the profiles properly, because that's the key in Xero. You have to set up the profiles accurately, select the right superannuation, as well as enter their tax number properly, so Xero can link up automatically with their super fund, with the ATO. So as I mentioned previously, those few clicks can really be beneficial as long as you've got your back settings done properly. So once you have that, it's just a few clicks processing and your details are sent across to the ATO. Thank you, Anita. Wonderful question.
Just to add on there, I think in the UK, I believe it's the same in Australia as well. To your regular Xero account that you have, we have to subscribe to a payroll package. So it comes at a slightly additional, at a small additional cost. I think they have an ongoing promotion, and now it's free for the first 3 months, I believe. And beyond that, it's a very small amount as well. And it's really worth a while to have that added in. Because it really helps even in the UK. For those of you who are in the UK, some of you do use it. For the others who do not use it, it's a wonderful thing to have it integrate seamlessly with HMRC PAYE filings, as well as your year-end documentation which you need. So it's really quite worthwhile to have it. So we have another question. Is it possible to manage inventory via Xero? I'll let Sarang take the question and I'll add on later. Thanks for the question.
Hi, Sue. Thanks for the question. Yes, Xero does have an inventory function in there as well, inbuilt. Certainly, you can manage your inventory through Xero, and it does offer you all the basics, properties, and qualities of an inventory system. So you have your base inventory. It will prompt you once your inventory is getting low, and it will let you know. I mean, that will give you an idea to order more. Certainly, if you're looking for something which is a bit more robust, something which can possibly link with your online website, there are apps which are linked with Xero, apps such as TradeGecko. And these apps would help you connect directly with your website so your customers can order that online. That gets translated to your TradeGecko app, which then gets published to Xero for your reporting purposes. So in answer to your question, yes, Xero does have an inventory function.
I hope that answers your question. So in your case, since I know your business a little bit more, I would suggest we can even look at some add-ons for inventory based on the number of items you'd have on hand at any point. Xero can obviously take care of a good number of items, but beyond that, it'll be better to have an add-on. Right. Thank you for that question.
Okay, excellent. So I think that's all the queries we have for now. Certainly, please feel free to drop me or Neetu an email if you have further questions, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. We will send a recording of this webinar over to you as soon as possible. And Neetu, do you have anything to add in?
No, I think we are about done here. I think we are on good time as well. Thanks everyone for joining in. It was fantastic to have all of you with us for our very first webinar. We hope to do more of these in the future. If there's any specific subject you would want us to cover, like Sarang mentioned, please let us know. We'd be happy to do that for you.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.
Goodbye.